You think you know what your car costs. You have the payment figured out. You know roughly what you spend on fuel. You have insurance on autopilot. You feel like you have this one handled. But there is a number, the real number that almost nobody ever calculates. And when people see it for the first time, the reaction is almost always the same: shock. Today we are going to do the math most people never do. Not the payment, the complete, honest cost of car ownership, and what that number means for your financial life over time. By the end of this video, you will have a framework to calculate your own real number. And if your experience matches what the data shows, you are not going to like what you find. When most people think about what their car costs, they think about one number: the monthly payment. $400 a month, $500, maybe $6. That is what the car costs. That is the mental accounting most people are running. But that number is not the cost of your car. That is the cost of the loan on your car. They are not the same thing. The real cost of car ownership has 5 components. Most people are only tracking one of them: payment. That is what you borrowed, spread over time with interest. Insurance. The average American pays over $1,500 per year in car insurance. That is more than $120 per month that does not appear in your payment figure. Fuel. The average American drives around 15,000 miles per year. At current average fuel costs, that adds up to roughly $2,000 annually, another $160 per month invisible in most people's mental accounting. Maintenance and repairs. Tires, oil changes, brakes, unexpected repairs. Research from AAA puts average annual maintenance costs for a typical vehicle at over $1,000 per year. That is before anything goes seriously wrong. And the 5th component, the one that swallows everything else: depreciation. Depreciation is the loss in value your car experiences simply by existing and being driven. A new vehicle loses roughly 20% of its value in the first year of ownership, not through damage, not through neglect, simply through the passage of time and miles. By year 5, the average vehicle has lost between 50 and 60% of its original value. This means if you bought a $35,000 car, you have lost approximately $17,000 in value in 5 years, before you count a single dollar of payments, insurance, fuel, or maintenance. That depreciation does not show up on a bank statement. It does not arrive as a bill. It is silent. And because it is silent, most people never count it. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks full transportation costs for American households. Their data shows the average American household spends over $10,000 per year on transportation, when all 5 cost components are included. Not $400 a month, over $800 a month. That is the real number for the average American. And if you drive a newer or more expensive vehicle, your number is likely higher. Now, let us add the layer that makes this truly significant. Every dollar spent on car ownership is a dollar not invested. That sounds obvious, but the compounding effect of that gap is not obvious at all. Let us run 2 versions of this calculation, because your age matters here. If you are in your mid-20s and redirect $300 a month, the difference between a car payment on a modest used vehicle versus a new one, toward a low-cost index fund earning the historical average annual return of approximately 7% after inflation. Over 20 years, that becomes roughly $150,000. But what if you are 35 and feel like that window has partly closed? The same $300 a month, starting at 35, still becomes approximately $75,000 by age 55. Not $150,000, but $75,000 that currently does not exist in your financial life, generated purely by one car decision made differently. The car does not just cost you the money you spend on it, it costs you the money that money could have become. This is what economists call opportunity cost, the value of the alternative you gave up. And for most people, the car is one of the largest sources of opportunity cost in their financial life, second only to housing. This is not an argument against owning a car. For most people, a car is a practical necessity. It is an argument for understanding what your car actually costs, so you can make a decision that is informed rather than one based on incomplete math. Research consistently identifies 3 car decisions that have outsized impact on long-term wealth building. The first is the buy versus lease calculation. Leasing is almost always more expensive over the long term than buying and holding. When you lease, you are paying for the most expensive years of a vehicle's depreciation, the first 3, and then returning the car and starting the cycle again. A person who leases a new vehicle every 3 years will, over a 15-year period, have made payments for the entire 15 years and own nothing at the end. A person who buys a reliable used vehicle and holds it for 10 years will have payments for roughly 5 years and own a paid-off asset for the remaining 5. The second is new versus used. A vehicle that is 2 to 3 years old has already absorbed the steepest portion of its depreciation curve. A car that sold new for $35,000 2 years ago might now be available for $24,000, having lost $11,000 in value during someone else's ownership. You get the same vehicle. Someone else absorbed the depreciation. Buying a 2 to 3-year-old vehicle instead of new can reduce your total ownership cost by 20 to 30% over the life of the vehicle. The third is the spending ratio, sometimes called the 1/10 rule. Research on the financial habits of high net worth individuals consistently finds that they spend significantly less on vehicles as a proportion of their income than average earners. A commonly cited guideline from financial research is keeping the total value of all vehicles you own below 10% of your annual gross income. If you earn $80,000 a year, that means the combined value of every vehicle you own should stay below $8,000. Most people reading that number will find it uncomfortably low relative to what they currently own. That discomfort is informative. This is not a moral judgment about cars. It is a mathematical observation about what separates people who build wealth from people who do not. Here is what the data is telling us. Your car almost certainly costs more than you think it does. Not because you are doing anything wrong, but because the number most people track, the payment, is the smallest and most visible part of a much larger total. The full cost includes your payment, your insurance, your fuel, your maintenance, and the one most people never count, depreciation. When you add all 5, the number is often 2 to 3 times what people estimate. Knowing your real number does not mean you need to sell your car. It means you can make decisions with complete information rather than partial information. And that difference, compounded over 20 or 30 years, is the difference between financial stability and financial stress. Here is what I want you to do right now. Take your monthly payment, add your monthly insurance, add your average monthly fuel, add roughly $80 for maintenance, then divide your vehicle's estimated annual depreciation by 12. You can find your car's current market value on any used car site and subtract it from what you paid. Add all of those together. That is your real monthly number. Comment below with what you find. And if you want to see where you stand relative to the data on income and car spending, drop your income range alongside it. Most people are surprised by their number. I want to know if yours surprises you. If research-backed financial analysis is what you are looking for, subscribe. New video every Tuesday. Every one of them starts with the evidence.